Hey, you ever been to Chancellor Park? That's where I live. My name is Tavin Dillard, and I live in a trailer park called Chancellor Park, and I mow lawns. I'd like to introduce you to my town. I've been making YouTube's videos since about 2006, and then I've transitioned over to other platforms like the TikToks and the whatnot. But here on this podcast, I'd like to clue you into what's going on with me here lately. And this is like the pre-introduction. Now I'm going to send it off to myself for the real introduction. I'm glad you joined me. Bink, bink. Well, welcome to the Tavin Dillard podcast, y'all guys. Season 1 here, episode 6. So we done 5 other ones already. And if you ain't taking a minute to listen to them, go ahead and I'd say back it up and head to number 1, and then you watch them like in order kind of thing. And then we'll be waiting on you here when you get back here to listen. My name's Tavin Dillard. I mow lawns. I live in Chancellor Park. It's a podcast you're listening to. That's like a radio show. So the way you do that is you use your ears, you listen to it. And I'm trying to do a lot of things right now, y'all. I'm trying to slow down on my podcast. I don't want to speak too fast. I get feedback and folks say, boy, I'm going to have to kind of, listen again, or, and that's okay if you got the time to do that, but I ain't trying to, rush through these stories. It's, I got in a habit, on the TikTok. I was trying to fit them in less than 60 seconds. And that's a minute, if you're good at time math. So we full steam ahead in the softball season. We 0-4. 0 is for the amount of wins you have, the front number, and that's none. But I wouldn't say like it's a solid 0-4. Like last game we only lost 3-2. And I really think we could have made something happen there. It's just how the cards fell. Is that what falls? The cookie crumbles? Something falls. We didn't make nothing happen. We could have. So this is week 3 with uniforms. So, 5 games total. 3 with uniforms. First 2 chest naked weeks. They becoming a distant memory. Scabs on my chest just about healed up from them early days of stealing bases. Chest naked, head first, Pete Rose sliding into them bases. They don't keep track of stolen bases in the adult softball league in town, but I got 13 this season because I do keep track. See, that's how that works. Everybody keeps their own scorecard in life. You probably know how many cars you owned, or how many cars you wrecked, or how many games of horse you won last week at the city park. We all got our list. And me, well, I stole 13 bases. 13. Did one get called back because they said you can't steal first base? Yes, it did. But did I steal it? Indeed, I did. 13 beautiful bases. That's my list. Of course, that's a personal list, and we a team. And you know what they say in team sports, you want to get that W. And when you're 0-4, you ain't got no W. You just ain't got it. That's how that is. And we were looking to win this week. We looking not to just say, oh, that's a good game. Oh, way to compete, everybody. We going home again with no win. And the other thing, if you know about our softball season, or the league they do, if you win on Thursday nights, when you go to concession stand, you get a free snow cone. So you know how many free snow cones we done got this season? That's right. 0. Insult to injury, you end up seeing the other team eating their snow cones, and you know how they got it. Well, it's a hard thing to watch. But that's what full-grown adults do. You just take it like a man as a full-grown adult. And that's hard when, you in town know and folks say, hey, because they just want the bottom line. Folks in town, they just want to know the bottom line. How many games y'all won? Well, none. That kind of sting a little bit when you say it like a fire ant bite. It ain't going to lay you up for a day, but you feel it. Kind of hurt a little bit. Same with sales, when you trying to sell people something, but they ain't caring about what you're trying to sell. They just asking, how much does it cost? Well, hear me out. This thing can really simplify your life. Well, how much is it? We also sell an attachment that can increase productivity by 50%. How much is it? We got an easy payment plan. How much? We can give you a free satchel too. How much? $1 million? Can't do it. Kind of thing like that. Like land that plane, what's the bottom line? And, people ask, hey, how many games y'all guys won? I'm over here saying, well, we ain't won a game, but, and they're like, oh, boy, y'all stink. Well, we don't stink, but our record sure do. So folks they just don't want to hear all that other stuff. You know how it is. But we could have won. We should have won. We really wanted to win. Now, I don't think even the first 2 or 3 weeks we wanted to win. I know the first 2 weeks we just didn't want to be chest naked, and we were. So, that did seem like a big hurdle to clear. And I tell y'all guys this week, my friends here on the podcast, that's what you're listening to now. It's like a radio show. I got a special thing to tell y'all about, a little discount code for something that has to do with keeping you warm when the months get cooler, but it also have to do with my softball team. What could it be? You're going to have to wait. But anyways, wasn't nobody ready to show off our winter bodies, when this season started. Myron Curtis hated it most maybe with his new gal watching nearby, Mary Beth Tucker, working at concession stand, but it was his fault. He did not get our uniforms, back when he said he would. So yeah, anyhow, we 0-4, lost 4 games now, 1-0. Way I see it, we got the whole league right where we want them to. Go ahead and sleep on us. We'll be up in your face like a spider web across your bathroom doorway. Where'd that come from? That wasn't there yesterday. That's right, you didn't expect it. Now you spitting, screaming, pulling web out of your face. Stay alert. Or don't. But Bud's Burger Shed's coming for you is the way I see it. This week I was the starting pitcher. I'm a lefty. You may know that about me. You may not know that about me, but I don't know. I think I probably mentioned it before, but I throw left-handed. I bat left-handed, which I guess is a more thorough definition of being a lefty. So anyhow, now you know. Big picture is I throw the 2-hitter. That's right. You heard me right. I only gave up 2 hits. That's right. But that's kind of glass half full, the way I tell that story, because both them hits was grand slams, and grand slam means you get 4. They get 4 runs every grand slam. So you times that by 2. Some quick math, or depending how good you are at math, some slow math will tell you that's 8 runs. So strike zone really got away from me early. That's on me. Walks and batters, and they really made me pay. They say that in the ball, in the leagues. They say, the walks will get you. So we thought about benching Myron for blowing kisses at Mary Beth Tucker last week, and he's falling down in between first and second base and getting thrown out from the outfield. But, we're like, what good is that going to do? Hey, stop flirting with your girlfriend during the game. Why don't we bench you so you can spend the whole game in a concession stand with her anyway? That ain't going to work. So he was there, and he's kind of ready tonight. The reason I say kind of is because it was 10 minutes till game time, and he wasn't there yet. Then I see him pulling up on his moped with a propane tank strapped behind him on this little stand that he got behind his seat, on a moped. I mean, that little bungee cord was struggling, boy, with all its might, just trying to grip around that little propane tank. And not a little propane tank, but a little bungee cord. It's like it was saying, hey, I'm the size you strapped down a couple corn dogs with, or throw pillows that you picked up for your aunt at the flea market. But I wasn't built for no propane tank, but it's steady just holding on. And that little bungee held on with all its might. Myron arrived like not a moment too soon. He parks, grabs his glove, and releases that propane tank. The bungee cord just curl up and snap all at the same time. And now, at that point, I don't know how Myron was planning on getting it back home. Or maybe it's just supposed to stay at the fields, because I didn't know what it was there for. And he shuffles over to the concession stand with his hands full. He's got a ball glove. He got his cap kind of on his head now, and a propane tank in his hands. And he's shuffling toward that concession stand. I'm like, Mort, what are you doing? Well, he holds up his glove hand to me like, hold on. And then he cracks a smile like, something's really pleasant that he's thinking about. And he's like, it's going to be good, Tavin. And when Myron says something like that, it really means that it ain't going to be good. We was the home team tonight, so we was taking the field. And like I said, I was on a mound. I do want to be clear. I didn't give up 2 grand slams in the same inning. I spread them 8 earned runs over 2 innings. One thing I don't do when somebody creaks one over the fence on me is bark at them, though. I ain't hollering at them like, hey, what do you think you're doing, kind of thing. Because the way I see it, my skills is how I bark. So if they hit a homer, buddy, or a grand slam, they out-skilled me. That's on me. Now, I don't know. My rotator cuff might have been a little tight. I don't know. I ain't a medicine man, nothing like that. But I swung my arm around in a full circle like a windmill, like a third base coach waving a guy home kind of thing. And that swinging felt a little bit better. But it wasn't clear. It's just part of it kind of thing. I worked out of a jam in the first inning, only giving up 4. Then I got back into it in the second inning, giving up another 4. Russell Tucker pulled me after that. I don't blame him. It just wasn't my night on the mound. That happens in a ball game. Mort Dwidell pulled one over the wall in the second, so it's 8-1 in the third inning. When we loaded the bases, you heard that right. Now, our bases was loaded. They done it twice already, just in the first 2 innings, and they capitalized on it. They got 2 grand slams. Now, we got the bases loaded. Who's up? Rusty Tidwell. Now, I tell you off the top of my head, I can't think of somebody else that I would want up in that position. Like Mort Dwidell, he can crank a home run. He already had, but he's all or nothing. Like Rusty Tidwell, I don't know that he ever striked out. You know, he make contact, real solid contact, every time he's up there. And that's really who you want up because, you know, he's steady focused. He's always locked in. He just is. That's how Rusty rolls. The concession stand was having quite a night as Team Burger Shed started putting the pressure on the other team. So you can imagine, bases loaded, Rusty's up at the bat. And you remember that propane tank I was telling you about that Myron brought? Well, it's being used in the concession stand. Inside the stand, is what I said. I did not know this during the fourth inning. I found this out later. Last week, Marybeth Tucker made hot dinner rolls that was softer than a baby angel's leg, according to Myron, and them rolls had plenty of butter. I mean, there's a big hit. She sold out of them. Well, apparently, Marybeth Tucker's like really branching out from the traditional concession stand delights and trying new stuff, and tonight it was s'mores. Now, part of the fun of making s'mores, if you know anything about s'mores, is roasting your own marshmallow. If you ain't never had s'mores before, or you ain't never heard of s'mores before, you probably ain't heard a podcast neither. It's like a radio show, so there's a good chance you ain't even listening right now. But I'm already leaning into this, and so here's where I'm going. A s'mores chocolate square. So that's the first starts to a s'mores, a chocolate square. You got to get a square chocolate. Graham cracker, full length. Get a full length graham cracker, fold it in half to make the top and like the bottom of the sandwich, because you're about to make a sandwich is basically what it is. And what's on the sandwich, you asking? Well, that chocolate square, like a Hershey bar, like a square that, it fits right onto that graham cracker like the bottom, and then you roast the marshmallow over the fire. And tonight, that's where the propane tank comes in. You see how that's working now? Apparently, Marybeth figured she had really thought this thing through. She gave folks sticks, and apparently she had a fire going in the concession stand, and customers were standing at the window where you order, leaning over with a stick and roasting their marshmallows over the fire inside the concession stand. If this sounds like a recipe for disaster, well, you ain't wrong at all. About the time Rusty Tidwell is going to take his first pitch of that, remember, bases loaded. The guy we want up is up. There's a scream at the concession stand. And there's this kiddo running with a stick that has a marshmallow on fire. No big deal. We all been there. But to a kid, it seemed like a big fire. You know, them big old campfire-sized marshmallows, and they on fire. It's like a tiki torch or something like that. Truth be told, this is the first marshmallow fire I'd seen at the City Fields. Why? Well, we don't ever do s'mores down there. Don't nobody ever bring a propane tank down inside the concession stand. I figured some adult would just help out, put out the fire that little tyke that's running around like, calm down, kiddo, it's okay. Well, that wasn't a problem at all. Next, I see Marybeth Tucker running out the concession stand with a bag of chocolate, her purse, and the cash box. And I known Marybeth a number of years. I never knowed her to have to like run. If she got to pick up her feet and like move beyond like a casual mosey, it seemed like it must be emergency, you know. Just emergency. I don't know what's going on, but it seemed very emergency. Russell Tucker called the fire department. Like, I mean, we was all in the dugout except the three guys on base and Rusty Tidwell. So Rusty Tucker, he sees some flames, and Ricky Don Pearson, he's nearby. He volunteer firefighter. He starts barking orders. So we walk off the field and out of the dugouts to make sure folks is okay, and that thing is just getting ate up by flames. Concession stands there. All heads turn over to Marybeth Tucker. Now, about that time, fire department does show up, and they're dousing that thing. I mean, it smelled like a campfire in a rainstorm over there. Everybody's just crowded around, trying to keep their distance, but trying to get close because everybody's curious. And everybody turned to look at Marybeth Tucker. She's trying to explain her s'mores in the concession stand idea. And I think it's the first time she said it out loud where she could hear it too. Because the look on her face when she tried to explain it was like, why in the world did I think this was a good idea? Like her mouth didn't say that, but her face did. Her face did real hard, like out of way. Like you look at her face and you're like, oh, she know this didn't make no sense once she said it out loud. And then her ears heard it from her own mouth for the first time. And Ricky Don asked her, how'd you get the propane tank here? I looked over at Myron. So did Marybeth. He done strapped that thing to his moped. There was no sense to this whole story. And when you say it all out loud, you just want to shake your head at both of them. And that's what folks did. You know how sometimes you want to say it out loud because you think explaining it to the other person will help them understand? Everybody knew that was not a good idea, including Myron and Marybeth. So we all just let sleeping dogs lie kind of thing, or burnt concession stand simmer, however you want to look at it. So that leaves us at 8-1 in the 4th inning. And they was talking about calling the game. And I said, the fields didn't burn, y'all. But what it is they got to go through stuff like in the fire. They got to go through all that stuff in the concession stand to burn or smoldering. They got to drive a fire truck across the field and bring in a patrol car. And they got to write notes and they got to ask questions. So they decided to postpone that game. Now, they didn't call it, which means that all them runs that was scored so far, they still count. And truth be told, I mean, all them runs was the other teams pretty much. 8-1 is where we was. But then we get our 3 guys back on base, and then Rusty Tidwell back in the bat like it's still going to be that game they play. So they postponed us. But I think we had a comeback in us. That's the way I was feeling. So the next night, they done moved the concession stand. They removed it from the whole place. They cleared that spot. It ain't much to replace a concession stand when it's just a shack that you can kind of bring in with a forklift and set it down. I mean, there ain't no running water, nothing in there. Them sodies is in a cooler. I guess them snow cone ice is too. I don't know how they bring that in somehow. And everybody knows them Skittles will keep. So next night is just an empty spot where the new stand is going to be. And I can't explain what happened next, but I'm going to try. I mean, it's podcast. If I didn't try to explain it, it'd just be quiet. You don't need to tune into the podcast for that. If you think Rusty Tidwell was locked in the night before, imagine him having a night to think about the next at bat. Remember, them bases was loaded, so that's how we started tonight. And truth be told, Rusty had a fella at work today who said he'd give him 10% discount on a truck axle if he signed some agreement. Well, it turns out that fella didn't have no authority to offer the discount, and the company ain't going to honor it. And that's frustration that Rusty didn't have even the night before. See how that worked? So he's got some real aggression pent up there, and he lay into that first pitch of the night. As he make contact, he hollers, 10%! So you know that scam was still on his mind. And I really don't know if that ball's landed yet. Rusty Tidwell, grand slam. Now it's 8-5. Rance Farnhart, he followed out with a double. J.T. Whitlow, he had a dribbler to third base, and the third baseman, that's Casey Dunlap, Jastine's husband, he just overthought it. And he stumbled on the way to the ball, then basically spiked the ball into the ground like he just scored a touchdown. So it was a little bit chaotic there. Rance, he made it all the way to third. J.T.'s safe at first. And then for the first time in my life, I seen somebody get hit in the neck with a slow pitch softball. Myron Curtis. That kind of thing it just cadunked like the side of his neck. Then he flicked that right shoulder up by his ear so late, like that was the reflex of a sloth with a ping pong paddle. Too late, buddy. That ball done got pitched, it hit you, rolled up third baseline, we all moving on. But Myron, he's jumping back now like, oh, that stung. And I don't think anybody thought it stung. I mean, we watched it get pitched. It's standard, slow. So he's kind of milking this moment. I don't know if he thought he had to convince the ump that he got hit, but it was starting to turn into like a production. So I just say, hey, Myron, you all right? I got hit by that pitch. I said, yeah, I see that. Why don't you go ahead and, take first base? He nodded, but I still think he wanted people to know he's hurt. So he started to jog down the first baseline with a limp. But then I guess he remembered that nothing happened to his leg, so he put his hand on his neck. Thankfully, there's no concession stand for Mary Beth to peek her head out of to offer Myron like a Band-Aid or something stupid like that. So he makes it down to first base. Finally, Russell Tucker's up. He don't wait. He cranks the first pitch to the wall. It sounded loud. And that outfielder, he seemed to think it's so deep that he ran straight to the wall like he's going to jump and rob a home run. And then he realized it's going to drop about 15 feet in front of him. It hits the ground, and our guys are off to the races. Russell ends up with a double, and Myron is standing at third. Now it's 8-7. And guess who's up? Tavin Dillard's up. It's me. I'm contact hitter. I sprayed the ball. Well, I stayed back on that first pitch, and for some reason, Myron Curtis starts running home. So I just let the ball go by me, right? So the catcher, imagine if you will, the catcher catching that ball, and Myron is steady running straight home. I'm frozen like a deer in headlights. Why in the world would Myron be trying to steal a home right now? I mean, he's bearing down hard toward home plate, and I finally figure I need to move out the way. So I do, and turns out the other team's just as surprised as us. The pitcher ain't even pitched the ball. He decides to throw it to third base because that's where Myron was standing, I guess. I guess that's what he's thinking. I don't really know. And Myron's headed home. Now, I'm telling him to get down now because I'm figuring out, okay, he's coming. I ain't stopping. I might as well, get down, slide, because that's the only way I know how to steal a base. But he don't. He is upright. He step on home. He's safe. and he keep running, but now it's turning into more like a shuffle. He put his hand on his backside, and he's steady focused on getting to the bathroom. I mean, no high fives, nothing. Myron's about to mess his britches. And that's what happened. He told me later, Tavin, either I was going to mess my pants right there on third base, or I was getting to a bathroom, and I didn't want to have this game postponed again. So he's thinking like a team player if you look at it that way. And he's probably right. They would have had to hose off that base, probably spray it with Lysol. And every time I head first, Pete Rose slide into third base, I'd probably be a little hesitant to reach out and tap that bag. So Myron Curtis tied up the game by stealing home, much to everybody's surprise. But let's just say he was highly motivated. I hit a single off home plate. Bounced high up there, so high. Russell made it to third on that one. And then Brody Childers got himself a single. He pulled it down the line. And we went ahead 9-8. And you know what happened after that? We went on to win 11-9. We scored 11 times tonight, and they scored 9. Burger Shed has a win. So now there is a Bud's Burger Shed team that is 1-4. Put that in your concession stand and burn it. Sorry. Too soon. So it was a two-parter, but it ended up in the end with a W. By our next game, concession stand should be back. Mary Beth Tucker can't bring no propane tank back to the concession stand. They wanted her to stick to the standards. You know, hot dogs, snow cones, Skittles, soda. And we're hoping that's all it is. But I was telling you earlier, I mean, we on cloud 9. You heard that people say that cloud 9. I don't know what that means, but it means you excited, like you happy. Well, I'm excited to tell y'all guys, we got Burger Shed hoodies. Oh, you warm? Or you want to be warm? Because it's getting cool and brisk outside. The hoodie got that pocket in the front for your hands to keep warm if you ain't got no gloves. Got a hood, pull over your head, cover them ears. When the wind starts to bite a little bit, said Burger Shed on the front, just like the Burger Shed t-shirts. Hey, 10% off. And this thing, I'm telling you about the new hoodie, but this is 10% off any order on the Tavin Dillard stuff at Rock City Outfitters. So here's the deal. I'll put the link in the show notes today, or you can always go to tavindillard.com and click on the link that says hoodies. But when you check out, you're going to need this code to get 10% off. You ready for it? Bank, bank. No, that's the code, I'm telling you. BINK, BINK. Bank, bank. You give that code at checkout, 10% off what you buying. Okay? So, that's the deal. Burger Shed hoodies are here. And, I mean, I never been prouder to wear a Burger Shed uniform this week because we done won a game. Now we winners. You may say 1-4, you ain't winners. I was like, look at our most recent game. I'm winner. We's a winner. 11-9. I had a single off home plate. So anyways, I hope y'all can check that out this week. And also, my friends over at Wag Bar, my Wag Bar, I'm going to put them in the show notes too. If you want some delicious protein, low carbs, low calorie, Wagyu, premium Wagyu beef, take a gander at them. So in the show notes today, you'll see the link to get to the Burger Shed hoodie. Bank, bank, discount code there. My Wag Bar, you want 10% off that? Just put in my name, Tavin. Hey, I want y'all to check that out, but also keep stretching out because you never know when you're going to be in a game or have to run away from a concession stand fire. I'm interested in what the new one's going to look like. If they're just going to replace it with the same kind of looking one, or there's going to be a different shape or something, and they're going to paint it a different color. I don't know. There's a lot to think about, but we got a lot to look forward to, and we on what they call a roll. So not a hot buttered in a roll that's softer than a baby angel's leg, because they can't come down. They don't want Mary Beth bringing them extra stuff down to the concession stand. Hot dogs, snow cones, Skittles, Mary Beth. Don't try to be all think outside the box, because now the box burnt down. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I hope y'all have a good rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in. Check out that new hoodie. Check out the Wag Bar. I'll holler at you next time. We'll see you later.